This is recording. Okay, this is my presentation. I think it is podcast about Boudicca, Queen of Britain. More than 1,900 years ago, a woman led one of the most famous rebellions against the mighty Roman Empire. Her name was Boudicca, and she became a symbol of courage, resistance, and freedom. Although her revolt ultimately failed, her story has survived through history and legend, ensuring people for centuries. Boudicca's early life and background, how was it? Boudicca lived during the 1st century AD in ancient Britain. She was the queen of the Iceni, a Celtic tribe located in what is now eastern England. At that time, Britain was made up of many different tribes, each with its own leaders and traditions. Very little is known about Boudicca's early life, because there are no writings from her own people. Most of what historians know comes from Roman writers, especially Tacitus and Cassius. According to this account, Boudicca was tall, fierce, commanding, and strong. She had long reddish-brown hair that went to about her hips. The Iceni tribe had once been allies of Rome. After Roman invasion of Britain in AD 43 under Emperor Claudius, some tribes cooperated with the Romans to avoid destruction. Boudicca's husband, King Prestagus, I think it is, if I remember right, ruled as the Iceni as a client king. The cause of the revolt, why she started doing her stuff. Trouble began after her husband had died around AD 60 or 61, and he had hoped to protect his family and his kingdom by leaving his wealth partly to the Roman emperor and partly to his daughters. However, the Romans ignored his wishes. Roman officials seized Iceni lands and property. According to Tacitus, Boudicca was publicly whipped and her daughters was assaulted by Roman soldiers. Members of the Iceni tribe was also stripped of their possessions. These cruel actions angered not only the Iceni, but many other British tribes as well. And here's how she began her rebellion, aka, when she started fighting back. Because Boudicca united several tribes against Rome, including the powerful tribe of Ventus. Thousands of warriors joined her cause. Some estimates suggest her army may have reached over 100,000 people, although exact numbers are unknown. At the time, many Roman soldiers were fighting away in other parts of Britain. This gave Boudicca the perfect opportunity to strike. Many rebels first attacked the Roman city of Comolodunum, now known as Colchester. It was an important Roman settlement and a symbol of Roman control. The city was poorly defended and Boudicca's forces destroyed it completely. The Roman governor of Britain, Suetonius Paulinus, quickly gathered troops to stop the uprising. However, before he could arrive, Boudicca's army attacked another major settlement, Londinium, aka London, what we call it now. And Londinium was a busy trading center, but it had very little protection. So the king, Suetonius, realized he didn't have enough soldiers to defend the city and ordered an evacuation. Those who remained behind were left to face the rebels. Boudicca's army burned Londinium to the ground. Archaeologists have found layers of ash and destruction beneath modern London that match the events described by Roman historians. After London, the rebels moved up to Verulamium, now St. Albans, destroying it as well. Roman writers claim that around 70 to 80,000 Romans and Roman supporters were killed during the rebellion. While those numbers may be exaggerated, they could also be completely true, because the revolt did completely destroy the entire city. To the Romans, Boudicca was the scariest enemy that they've had in a long time. To many Britons, however, she was the best woman in the world. And what about Boudicca's final battle? Eventually, Suetonius gathered around 10,000 Roman soldiers to confront Boudicca's much larger force. Despite being heavily outnumbered, the Romans had advantages in disciplines, armor, weapons, and military tactics. The final battle took place somewhere in central England, although historians still debate the exact location. Before the battle, Boudicca is said to have delivered a powerful speech to her army. She told them they were fighting for freedom, their families, their kids, their futures, and their homeland. According to Roman accounts, she rode in a chariot with her daughters beside her as she addressed her warriors. The Romans formed tight defensive lines and used their training to withstand the initial British attack. Once the Celtic warriors became disorganized, the Romans counterattacked with deadly efficiency. The result was a disaster for Boudicca's forces. Thousands of Britons were killed, while Roman losses were relatively small. And how did she die? How did it all end? What Boudicca's death? After the defeat, Boudicca either took poison or died from illness. Historians are uncertain about the exact cause of her death, and her burial place remains unknown. Even though there are still some writings that say she took suicide, there are also a lot that says she got poisoned or she got sick, very sick. Since around this time, it wasn't a lot of, there was many sicknesses, but not good health care. And although her rebellion failed militarily, it shocked the Roman Empire and the rest of the world. The destruction was so severe that Rome even considered abandoning Britain altogether. Instead, the Romans decided to rule the province more carefully and to avoid provoking future uprisings. And Boudicca's legacy, the best legacy in the world. I'm sitting here and holding my computer screen up. Yeah, so anyways, about Boudicca's legacy. For many centuries, Boudicca's stories was mostly forgotten. During the Renaissance and especially as the Victorian era, interest in her returned. She became a national heroine. Heroine, I think it is, not heroine. That would be very bad. In Britain, and a symbol of resistance against tyranny. A famous bronze statue of Boudicca stands near the Houses of Parliament in London. It showed her war chariot with her daughters, capturing the image of a fierce war queen. Today, historians continue to study Boudicca's life and rebellion. Some see her as an early freedom fighter, while others note that much of her story comes from Roman writers who may have exaggerated on certain details. Even so, there is no doubt that she left a powerful mark on history. Why does Boudicca still matter? Why did she become a rebel girl? Why do people still care about her? As Boudicca's story continues to inspire people because it represents the struggle against injustice and oppression. She stood up to one of the strongest empires in history, despite overwhelming odds. Everybody knew and thought she was gonna lose, but she fought. She didn't win the war, but she won the battle. And that is the most important thing you can do. It shows you have some strength in you. Getting hot there. Anyways, and I lost myself completely. She's also important as one of the most famous female military leaders in ancient history. In a time where men usually dominated politics and warfare, Boudicca proved that leadership and bravery were not limited by gender. Although nearly 2,000 years have passed since her rebellion, Boudicca remains a powerful symbol of determination, resistance, and the fight for freedom. And that was my presentation. 10 minutes long. English was floating. Esteban, please give me an A and I will give you my bicep workout. Yes, thank you.